We're live again.
Here we go.
Heckin Cool
Heckin Cool Dads, episode
5.
5?
We're fucking killing it. We're on a roll.
Wow.
I got there's that dad joke. Call me butter because I'm on a roll. There you go. Appropriate dad joke. Thank you, Colin, for bringing the beers today.
Yeah, it was poor Colin this weekend. It was scrounging to see what was in the fridge, and I had 5 in 1. It's pretty good though, isn't it?
You brought me a weed beer.
Yeah.
What's going on with this? What's the deal?
So Sweetwater Brewery in Atlanta, Georgia, they have a beer called 420.
Wait a minute. This isn't an Ohio beer.
It is not.
Okay.
Neither is this one.
Goes back to poor Colin.
Neither is this one.
All right, go on. Tell me about it.
Who said we only had to drink Ohio beers?
I don't know. I think we set that precedence.
Did we?
Kind of early on.
No.
All right.
Because this is Founders is like my hometown beer. That's Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Okay.
So
that's close
kind
enough.
of counts for something.
Yeah.
Anyway, Sweetwater, they have a beer called 420 that happens to be like my probably favorite beer. It's like if I'm at the store and I know I'm gonna want something I'm gonna like.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you take a risk when you buy a 6-pack and you have one. You're like, ugh. The 420 is one I always go for. And they put out this, I thought it was a limited thing, but they started producing it, and it supposedly is supposed to taste just like some weed strain called G13.
Okay.
I do know that it smells and tastes like weed. I couldn't tell you if it's that strain or not.
I actually don't smoke weed, so I don't know if it does or not, but I mean, it's good for a beer.
Yeah, it's good.
So
it's delicious.
I hope this isn't some kind of gateway beer, which leads me into
opioids.
Yeah. Oh God.
Took a big leap there.
Yeah, we did. That's a big fucking leap. It's not entirely unrealistic. It is Ohio. I think we've talked about this before.
No, but you know, speaking of Columbus, Ohio beers, this is a Grand Rapids, Michigan beer from Founders, and it's just kind of an elevated lager. Like its competitors would be Miller Lite, you know, your light lagers, PBR, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of got an elevated taste. You'll have one. I've got more of them. But it's kind of taken the place of Hilltop beer for me,
which is
because 4-string, up and closed out of nowhere, even though the Hilltop brand was doing so well.
It's coming back, right?
Yeah. And,
okay.
I read the other day a local entrepreneur bought the name and the recipe, and I assume the facility, and it's now called Hilltop Brewing Company, and they're going to be producing Hilltop and Hilltop Light, and the dude from 4-string is going to be like a brand ambassador or something like that.
Okay.
And they said that the first pours will be at ComFest, and they'll be in stores on 4th of July.
Nice.
And because to me, that is a beer that changed the city. I mean, you saw it blew up, and it was everywhere, and it tastes better than PBR, and it's not too much more expensive. So
yeah, my oldest memories of PBR are from my grandpa. My grandpa was a big PBR fan, and so I remembered the logo, and I grew up, and I didn't like beer even when I was first able to drink. I didn't like beer. I did not drink a lot of beer. I actually entered the world of hard liquor first, and started drinking beer like at parties and stuff like that because it was just always readily available. Developed a taste for it. I don't know if it's a good thing or bad thing. Kids don't start drinking beer because it probably tastes like shit for a while, and then you just develop a affinity for it, right? No, I saw that it was coming back. I actually only had it one time, and it's because I used to live in the fucking Hilltop. I walked in a gas station, it said Hilltop, and I'm like, what the shit? So I pick it up, I look, it's from 4-string. I used to drive by 4-string every day on the way to work to get on the freeway. So I picked it up.
They just painted over that.
Did they?
It's just gray now. It still said 4-string until a week ago.
Wow. So why are you over there all the time?
My best friend lives right off Hague.
There you go.
So
growing up
in Valley View.
Growing up, my best friend moved from the South End to over there, and so I was on that exit all the time. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm glad to see them back. This beer is pretty good. If it tastes like weed, I guess weed tastes pretty good.
While we're on the subject, though, what if you were to say your favorite Columbus brewery currently? What would that be?
Favorite Columbus brewery currently? That's a hard one. There was it's not there anymore. It's another brewery, but it's in Grandview. It was a place called Zauber. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it turned into.
Endeavor.
Is that Endeavor?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, got it.
Same guys?
I have no idea. So Zauber was one that I used to go to a lot, and they had an IPA called the Berserker. which was hands down my favorite Columbus beer. And they started, releasing kegs of it to local bars and stuff like that. So I would pick it up wherever I go. But I haven't had much in the way of Endeavor. Have you?
Yeah, I haven't either.
Okay, I saw an article online the other day that we are number 4. Columbus is number 4 in the country for number of breweries.
Oh, I'm sure.
I can't remember what the number is. It's like 300 or something like that. But that's a staggering fucking number.
There was the one going in Clintonville, actual brewing company, and they had it all ready to go, getting ready to open, and then the CEO got Me Too'd, and the whole company just went.
It's called Actual?
It's called Actual Brewing.
Man, they're running out of names.
And they were ready to open and then didn't because the CEO is a creep.
We should get with somebody. There's enough local breweries that we could probably get with them and somehow facilitate a beer ourselves.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. That was something I was thinking about the other day, and I think it's after I read that there were 300. I'm like, man, fuck. There's that whole thing where if you ask enough time and ask enough people, one's bound to say yes. I mean, if we ask 300 breweries, like, hey, could we somehow facilitate some beer? One of them's got to say yes. Yeah. I mean, that's just statistics.
The thing about Columbus beer, and from Grand Rapids, Michigan, even though I moved out of there before I was of drinking age, Grand Rapids I think is probably number 1 in the country for amount of breweries. It's crazy, and so I'm used to being around breweries all the time. And the one thing about a lot of Columbus breweries, I think, is not that they make bad beer. It's just the fact that I feel like a lot of times. And this it might not just be Columbus, but a lot of times they're better at just creating vibes than anything. Like Seventh Son, I love like 2 or 3 of their beers. Outside of that, I don't think their beer is like anything like amazing. I don't mean that in like it's just not my. I just think they're good at it, and but the vibe. They created a vibe there, and it is a place that you want to go. It's a place you want to hang out, and their beer is good. But it's not. I don't think it's the star of the show. I think just the culture is the star of the show. There, I feel like Who Farted.
That's nice. I never thought of that.
Yeah, you go into a place that's as fancy, hipster as that place, and then have chiseled in stone behind the front desk a pun for Who Farted. That shit is A-level trolling.
Yeah, that's amazing. I have never even been there. Like, for all the breweries that are in town, so me and my wife used to hit them up all the time. Like, every date night, we're like, fuck, let's go try another one. I mean, there's been ones where I had never even heard of, and we were driving by like, shit, what is that? And an example of that is Lineage Brewing, which is in Clintonville.
Yeah,
we were
right
just
by my house.
Driving by one day, saw Lineage Brewing. We're like, oh, shit, that's where we're going tonight. Walked in and actually knew one of the bartenders. I'm like, son of a bitch, how have I never heard of this place?
They got good beer, too.
They do. I'm a big fan. And I'm also a big fan of the fact that you can go in and just grab a board game off the shelf and fucking play.
Yeah.
That's tight.
Columbus Brewing Company is about to open up their first brew pub since they started. I know that's confusing because you think of Columbus Brewing Company, the restaurant.
Don't they?
No, that's the thing. I found out, and somebody can correct me on give me the actual details on this, but it's always been 2 separate companies. There's Columbus Brewing Company, the brewery, and there was Columbus Brewing Company, the restaurant.
The restaurant.
And they were partners, business partners, maybe family members or something like that. And so, obviously the Columbus Brewing Company restaurant served Columbus Brewing Company beer and all that. I always thought they were one and the same. I guess there was a huge business falling out. And so I believe Columbus Brewing Company, the restaurant, the brewing that they did there, I think is now called like Market Garden Brewing or something like that. Something like that.
That's the little restaurant down in Brewery District, like in the back there, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I might be wrong on the name. But now Columbus Brewing Company, the beer, they're going to be on the west side somewhere opening up their first brew pub. So that's going to be really cool.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like not a lot of businesses on the west side. Like, a lot of people try and put business over there and try and facilitate that growth. You saw it a lot with Franklinton. It did really well, and you would expect that to move even further west, but it's just not happening.
I think the problem is that what you see happening in Franklinton is a lot of different people coming together. You have city planners, you have developers, you have social justice activists. You have art galleries, all breweries, everybody coming together to part of it feels like rejuvenation, part of it feels like gentrification, but they really are focusing a lot on the community and elevating the community. And I think it's been tried on the west side, but I think it's just like one, you got Dirty Franks did their thing, and it's just one at a time. Nobody's really coming together, so you can't, Dirty Franks didn't last out there because the building needed to be torn down anyway.
Well, realistically, I think my family was who was really keeping Dirty Franks West.
Totally.
Like, we were going there all the time, and we moved away from there, and we moved away in like July, and I'm pretty sure they closed like October of that year. So we move away in July, and this shows you how fucking disconnected I am. I was at work the other day, and somehow Dirty Franks came up, and everybody's like, oh, I love going there. It's just so fucking small. I'm like, you guys got to go to the one out west. There's so much room. No one's ever there. And somebody looked at me like, there's one on the west side? I'm like, yeah, it's been there for years. Like, we used to go to all the time. I pull it up, and the first thing I find is like a fucking newspaper article where they were closing. But it was like years ago. Holy shit. I am very disconnected. We used to go there, especially on Wednesdays. They had karaoke on Wednesday.
We went there once with you guys.
You did.
It's like family karaoke.
It is. It's awesome.
It's like at 5:30 p.m. or something like that.
Yep. And Hayden would get up there and fucking rip it. Like, they would always make special considerations for him because at the time, he's like 6 or 7 years old. And he would go up there like, I want to do Blink 182, all the small things. Or like, I want to do 21 Pilots Car Radio. And, if for those that don't know, that's like a fairly intricate song. Like, it's fast. And he'd kill it.
I remember when we went with you guys, Beatrice was probably only 3 or 4 years old, and she wanted to do a song, and she could barely. It was like a song from Frozen or something like that.
I thought it was like a nursery rhyme.
Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah.
And it's just really funny that how kids can be so extroverted. Like, they don't care what anybody thinks of them.
Did she stay like that?
No.
Yeah, he did. He really didn't either.
That's not quite accurate. She really doesn't care what people think about her. Like, I often have a lot to say about what she's wearing when she's walking out the door. Like, that looks silly, Like, she bought a bomber jacket covered in those sequins that you flip up and down.
Oh yeah.
She's almost 7, by the way, just to give context. I'm talking about those sequins
absolutely.
that like change color or picture.
Yep.
She bought a bomber jacket, and it's the cutest thing. And she comes downstairs, and it was tucked into a skirt. And I was like, that's a jacket.
Yeah.
That's not a shirt, Beatrice. And she's like, oh, and she was like, but I really like how it looks. And I was like, but it's a jacket. You're not supposed to tuck it in. Who gives a shit for what?
Right.
But now it's principle.
Yeah.
And then she runs upstairs. She's all upset. She comes back down, and I was like, where's the jacket? And she goes, well, now that I know that you can't tuck it in, I wouldn't have bought it in the first place.
Wow. Attitude.
And she was like really frustrated about it. So there is a part of her that still doesn't care what people think about her, but then if you lay it on thick enough, she does. So what I'm saying is it's my fault and I'm ruining her.
Yeah, that's interesting because growing up, I was like, we've talked about this, giant pants, spiked hair, red tips, black hair, stuff like that. And it was always like, oh, I don't care what people think. But my mom tried to tell me the same thing. And I was just like, no, fuck you, Mom. It's not a phase. Clearly it was a phase. But it would have been nice maybe to get a little more nurturing. But honestly, like, I'm wondering how fucking weird I would be if nobody ever told me, like, that's fucking trash. Like, what you're doing is trash. Because whether we like it or not, we all care a little bit.
Yeah. And it is interesting thinking about being a parent and thinking about what your kids are wearing and wanting them to practice self-expression with what they want to look like. But I draw the line at like, no, this like doesn't match. You're wearing 2 different length socks.
Oh yeah.
Or those pants are too small. I know they're your favorite. We talked about this a couple weeks ago, and you got these flood pants, and now I look like a parent who can't afford to get his kids clothes that fit. And, or the whole, like, I know, like, those jogger things are a lot more
I fucking wear the shit out
popular
of those.
now,
Yeah.
which is awesome. But, like, before those became popular, especially with little kids, it was like, no, you're not wearing sweatpants. No.
Yeah.
Like cuffed sweatpants. You know what I mean? And it was just too much. So it's like finding that spot. I think of a good story when I was in high school. I always was trying to push. My school had a really strict dress code. We didn't have to wear uniforms, but like
Right.
you had to dress a certain way. So it was always my whole thing being a new metal kid, being a, left of center kid. It was always how far could I push the rules before they stopped me,
Right.
So it was like, I remember going to Gadzooks and getting a pair of, they were a pair of like polyurethane silver pants. Okay.
Like UFOs?
No. They weren't like baggy.
Okay.
They were just like pants. Like I wanted to dress like one of the guys from Orgy, like like futuristic goth kind of.
Got it.
And I had these pants, and I spent like $100 on them out of my own money that I made at work. And I remember wearing them to school. Was not breaking it. They were breaking zero rules. They were fitting pants.
That was the rule, was fitting pants?
Yeah.
Okay.
They weren't too baggy. They didn't have holes. They were brand new. And I got my assistant principal was an old Baptist preacher, and it was a Baptist high school, but the assistant principal was one who held all of these mid-50s standards.
Sure.
And he told me that I was not allowed to wear those pants again. And I was like, okay. And I didn't argue with him because I was a weakling child and not a fuck up.
Right.
And my mom happened to be there that day because she was volunteering with like lunch or something like that. And she just asked him. She was like, why would you... Like, she stood up for me. Like, my mom was standing up for my freedom of self-expression. And he said that his reasoning was that I would be distracting to the learning of other students by putting all the focus on myself.
Wow.
So...
That's fucked up that they can pull shit like that and just essentially blanket some weird prejudicial like self-opinion, right?
Yeah.
It's their opinion, but they just blanket it under that type of bullshit.
Yeah. The moral of that story was saying that my mom hated the way I dressed. I'm not, and looking back, there's no way, she's never said that straight up, but there's no way that my mom did not hate the way I dressed because I looked like an idiot all the time. But she stood up for me because she knew that it meant something to me. Yeah. And that's what I'm trying to do with my kids. I'll give them my opinion. I'll say something, but like, if you really, really want to go to school with a fucking bomber jacket tucked into a skirt, cool.
Go for it.
Be my guest.
Right. Yeah, I don't have too much of that, thankfully.
You will.
You know what? Maybe. But like, I feel like I did an okay job. I bought him all the different clothes. Like, we've dressed him like, a hipster with like skinny jeans and like flannels buttoned up and stuff like that. I've bought him all kinds of nice shoes, the Air Max 270s, the Kevin Durant's, LeBron's. Like, I've given him all sides of the spectrum and just letting him like feel it out.
See, I don't drop the dollars on the shoes.
I'll tell you why in a minute. But and I just let him do his thing. And honestly, when you say joggers, like we had to implement a rule that was you can wear joggers twice a week because if he could just wake up and put joggers on every day, that's what he would do.
My boys are the same way.
But I don't think that is I mean, it is partially him, and also he's complained before like, oh, these fucking skinny jeans, like they rub me the wrong way or they don't feel right, and I'm like, hey man, that's fashion. You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta.
It's the price you pay, dog.
It's the price you pay, right? But no, he wants to wake up and just put on joggers every day and a fucking hoodie that's like, too big. He came down the other day and he had on like joggers and a hoodie that we actually bought him. I think Amy got like a good deal on it or something. Bought it for him for next year. So this fucking hoodie is like down to his like mid thigh. Had to nix that one. Just going back to like parents though, like my mom never really questioned. I mean, well, I don't want to say that. She probably questioned why I was dressing the way I was, but she never stopped me. She kind of, I guess, if anything, she was a pushover when it came to that because she was not a pushover just about with anything else. And that's because my brothers were kind of fuck ups. I think I told you that before. My brothers were fuck ups.
I thought they were mobsters.
I mean, that's one way to put it, right? They were mobster fuck ups. And so I never got away with shit. It also, I think, contributed to me having, and this is like taking a left turn right here. It contributed to me having a weird trust issue, or at least an issue with people trusting me. And I'll tell you why. I remember the exact thing that happened that was like, it set me off so hard. Like, it set me off into, I can't believe she doesn't trust me. one, my brothers were fuck ups, so she pretty much just thought I was just going to be a fuck up, so she had to do all these things to make sure I wasn't a fuck up. But what really set it over the edge was one time, and also we didn't grow up with air conditioning. We never had air conditioning. So we had screens, those fucking screens you like put in the window and you expand them out left and right, and then you like set the window down on them. We had those. She's looking for those screens. It's getting to be that time of year. We're trying to put the screens in, and we're looking for them, can't find them. And she makes this comment. She goes, "You probably sold them." And I lost my shit. Like, I fucking lost my shit. I was like, you know, "I didn't sell them. I can't believe you would think that, yada, yada," all this shit. And then I say, "Those fucking screens probably weren't worth anything anyway. How much would you even get for screens?" And like, instead of just admitting like, "You're probably right," she's like, "Oh, seems like you know a lot about how much they're worth." Oh, dude, it sent me into fucking overdrive. Then I was determined to find these screens then. I was so pissed off because our house was pretty fucking big and it was easy to misplace shit. We had a lot of stuff at the house. So I'm walking around. I'm in different rooms. I find the screens tucked between like an entertainment center and this wood chest that used to be my brother's. It just had a bunch of like old mail and shit in it. I find the screens. They're in a trash bag. I take them downstairs. I'm fucking, chest puffed up. I'm ready to just slam them bitches down. Like, "Look what I found." I was like, "Look, I found the fucking screens." I ripped the bag open. I'm asking her to apologize. And then she goes, and this is what really set me off. I mean, I've already been set off twice at this point, but this was like the fucking nuclear blast. She goes, "Pretty convenient you knew where they were."
Oh my God.
Bro, I lost my fucking mind.
She was trying to frame you at every...
Yeah, she told me that I fucking sold them. I guess that's some shit my brothers used to do. And not even my brothers, also my brothers' friends. They would come in, running around with little assholes. And like shit had come up missing before. Like even a gun had come up missing at one time. I guess my mom had some like little gun from an ex-husband or something. But so she just at this point was wired to believe that like if something's missing, there's no fucking way it was her misplacing it or anybody misplaced it. That shit was sold. And that's crazy, but it also contributes to, I have a big fucking problem when I say something that I know is factual and someone either doesn't believe me or tells me it's not. I mean, that's the quickest way to send me to a fucking 10. Do you have any similar trust issues, or were you just always trusted as a kid?
No, I mean, I was trusted a lot as a kid. I was the oldest of four in a pretty rough household. And, so there was I from the time I was like not like Miles or Hayden's age, I was like the dad of the house. I was, so mine it was like I was trusted too much. You know what I mean? It was the opposite. It was the opposite side of that. I always was the standard bearer, but it's not just the standard bearer that the other ones were held to, but or not held to, because my mom likes them all better than me anyway. I'm just kidding.
Are you there?
No, I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
But although I was the standard bearer, it was also this kind of, I became like a saint. It's because I didn't want to break my parents' trust.
Okay.
Because they had put so much faith in, my mom had put so much faith in my personal discernment and young maturity, and so I didn't drink till I was 21. I didn't try smoking weed for the first time till I was 30.
Okay.
I didn't drink till my 21st birthday. I as we all learned last week, I didn't have sex until I got married. Everything was, I was always too afraid of getting in trouble or ruining people's trust in me, because it was always what I heard was, "I'm really trusting you."
So you did have some sort of trust issue, it sounds like. But you had the opposite. You had to keep that trust up.
I wanted to be trustworthy, and I still do.
Yeah.
It affects my daily life still.
Yeah. No, I think that in a sense we came about it two different ways.
Yeah.
But we have the same kind of thing. We want to be trustworthy. Oh, you spilled that beer all the way down you.
That's the way it works when your name is Colin Simulant.
Yeah. Did anybody reach out to you after that last episode? Because several people was like, "Holy shit, like Colin was a virgin?" Dude, multiple people said that. It's just such a thing nowadays, right?
It kind of came out of left field too when I dropped that one in the conversation.
You did. I remember very vividly Dave going, "Damn!" boom, and like.
See, that's the funny thing. It is funny. It doesn't surprise me that people would be saying that. Anybody who would say that to me already knows I'm very open about that sort of thing. It's not embarrassing to me.
No, it shouldn't.
And I wouldn't go back and change. Sierra and I have not had a conversation about if we're going to hold our kids to a standard like that.
Right.
I probably not, because I don't know that I believe in it being right for everybody. I'm choosing my words carefully here, as to not offend some people. I don't know. I think that it was right for me, and I have no regrets.
No, and you shouldn't. And I think most people, there's even people that did not, that probably wish they did. And so I feel like if you ever think that you're going to go back and wish you had done something, fucking safe bet is just do it. You know what I'm saying? And you managed to do that. I did not. And again, it could have totally been situational. The area you grow up, the people you grow up around, whoever you choose to date at that time, like totally situational. Honestly, I hope. I mean, this is going to sound really bad, and this is a total double standard. I hope my daughter does it. I don't expect Hayden to do it. Total double standard. But to the parents out there that have a boy and a girl, I feel like that's a pretty common sentiment that maybe is shared. Maybe.
Yeah, like it is a weird standard that we have, because it's like my boys, as they got older, and you get toddler, preschooler, that's when like you kids start getting like super cute, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so we'd always be like, oh man, these boys are gonna break girls' hearts, and all this stuff. And it just, even saying it out loud right now, I immediately is like, yeah, but then I look at Beatrice, who is just as darling and just as cute, and I'm like, fuck no, she's always gonna be little cute baby, and she's not gonna get her heart broken, because she's not gonna be around anybody who's gonna break her heart. You know what I mean? It is weird. It is on one end it's like lighthearted, but on the other end it's like, no, that's like so ingrained in us to automatically just say, oh, my boys are gonna bang a bunch of girls,
right? But
she better not ever. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't like it. I don't like it even saying it out loud, but it is just this natural response.
It's something that society has done. I don't know if it's because society did it, or is it because I'm a boy, or wait. I'm a man, I just wanted to clarify. I'm not a boy. I'm a man. No, I think on the last episode, though,
toxic.
It was totally. I hope it doesn't rub off on you. I got my fucking donuts and deadlifts and Dadlife shirt on. Shout out to fucking Patrick Jakacki, because he's the one that had this shirt, and I was like, son of a bitch, like I need that shirt. So I hit him up, asked him where to get it, and the most fitting company makes this, and I might butcher it. I might have to turn around and show you, but I think it's called Dad Bod Apparel.
It is. I saw it. We were walking in, and I was standing behind you.
Yeah, I love this fucking shirt. It's awesome. I'm a big fan of donuts.
I'm going to double shout out Patrick, just because I feel like he is speaking of standard bearers, he is the standard bearer for being a good dad.
No, totally.
Holy shit, man.
Yeah.
That dude really loves his kid and really loves the art of being a dad.
I agree. And that's it. Yeah. So when I saw this, I hit him up. I was like, hey, where'd you get that? And he shot me the link. And I mean, if nothing else, that company made one additional sale because of him. They should just throw him some fucking free merch.
Yeah.
You know what? I just wish people would throw us free merch, because I don't know about you, but I've been doing this thing where like each time I'm thinking back, like, what the fuck did I wear? I don't want to wear the same shit. I'm kind of a creature of habit. Like I will, just like Hayden wakes up and wants to put on fucking joggers every day, I wake up and want to slip on one of like 3 pair of shorts. And it's one of those 3, and then I want to throw on my cozy shirt that feels nice and shit like that. So I've actually found myself thinking each time I go to put something on before I come here, I'll think back like, what the fuck did I wear? And did you do it too?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, thank God. I was hoping that wasn't just a me thing, because I was feeling pretty lame about it. Do you go to the gym? No. You just hey man, you can't tell nowadays. Like,
oh geez,
I have no fucking idea. For one, you're thinner than I am, and I do go to the gym, which is not saying much.
Yeah, but you're fitter than I am.
But I'm not. I'm truly not. And nothing has ever made me feel less fit than when I go there and there's a bunch of fucking fit people doing fit shit. And I'm like, man, fuck yeah. And I'll walk in. I don't do it that time. I'll walk in next time and I'll just try some new shit that I saw somebody doing, like some fit person. And I'm like, how the fuck were they doing so many of these? Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I can't even do this. I mean, growing up, like, I thought pull-ups were the hardest thing in the world. And then there got to be a point in my life where I had one of those fucking pull-up bars between a doorway, and me and my roommates would make it a game. We'd just be like, hey, man, how many pull-ups can you do? And then we made it a game. I got to where I could do, a decent amount of pull-ups. Not so much anymore. And I guess that's because I got more weight hanging off the bottom of me. So it's like you're pulling up a lot more fucking weight. But the whole thing was I went to the gym today. And then I came here and I set this shit up. Well, I actually did that before the gym. And I get there and there's a track at this gym. So I go up and I'm running some laps. And there's a person on the track, and how it's set up is there's 3 lanes. I'm on the outside lane because the runners are supposed to stay the outside, the walkers stay the inside. And there's this lady, if I had to guess, she's late 50s, early 60s. And, visibly, she's not walking like you would expect, like just an average person would be walking. She is walking, letting me know that she's got something, right? She's got like advanced cerebral palsy or something. And she's fucking like grinding and just walking around this track. And as I'm jogging around, every time I come up to her, like I can't help but look at that and be like, these are the type of people that inspire the shit out of me, because she's in here just grinding and going, and I'm getting around. I get a couple laps in. I'm like, man, I just want to walk for a minute. And then right as I'm thinking like, shit, I just want to walk, I'd come up to her and I'd just keep going, because I feel like that is just walking, running, all that is something that you just learn to take for granted because you just do it. And seeing somebody so motivated to still put in that time is like, it's just truly inspiring to me. I mean, I don't really know how else to put it.
I woke up at 10:45 today. So that's my contribution to this.
Yeah, you got nothing, do you? So yesterday,
no, I feel no, I totally get it. I mean, when it comes to going to the gym, I'm the kind of guy who signs up for a gym membership and takes it really seriously for like 2 weeks, and then rubber hits the road, and you kind of hit the, this isn't as fun and exhilarating as it was when I felt good about, I'm going to the gym now.
Yeah.
I have not yet been able to get over that hump.
What was the motivating factor that happened each time? Like, what motivated you to go try in the first place?
Oh, I don't know. It's varied.
Yeah.
Everything from New Year's resolutions, which are bullshit, to, oh man, I've never seen 185 on the scale before. Things like that. Or, again, like I said last week, my current motivation was seeing the videos of this shit and being like, fuck, I look like that now.
Yeah. What's funny is I looked at him and thought the same thing, but I'm starting to wonder, like, is it the wide angle lens?
Oh, yeah. It's easy to just blame the wide angle lens.
It is. No, I'm actually...
Let's see, does my face get fatter as I get it?
That's the thing about motivation. And I don't know... I might just give my wife credit for this, because she's always the one with like the amazing quotes that she finds various places and posts them. I have no fucking idea where this quote... Does this sound familiar? Because I feel like out of the 4 episodes we did, I tried to quote something, like at least 3 of them.
Yeah. Quotes, statistics.
Yeah, I tried to quote something.
I'm just assuming that you're making it up. It's okay.
No, it's actually a quote about motivation, and it makes a lot of sense. And the quote's really fucking long, and I have no idea who it is, like always. But the quote is something to the tune of, don't rely on motivation. Motivation is fleeting and unreliable. Basically, you're supposed to create habits, because habits become habitual, right, and they're more reliable than motivation. It makes perfectly fucking sense, but I can't get out of the habit of saying like, what motivates you, or I was motivated by this. And though I think motivation still exists, I wish I could create more habits than just being motivated at random times.
I see, and that's the thing is I do the stuff that I am habitual with, like, is good for me. I don't go to the gym, but
cooking food at home.
Well, yeah, I don't do enough of it, but yes. Every single day, almost every single day between dinner time and kids go to bed, even if I am not in the mood, even if I'm having an off day, I'll always spend at least half an hour playing the guitar, playing some riffs. Sometimes new music comes out of it. Sometimes I'm just fucking around playing mosh and shit like that just to get my mind into music. So I do that almost every day. Like I feel weird if I don't play guitar for a day or don't play drums for a day or something like that. Then, you know, one thing that, and I think it does kind of count as an exercise regimen, is almost every day for the last 10 years, when I get that 3:30 feeling in the afternoon, you know, it's mid-afternoon and it's either, you know, work's kind of grinding, maybe it's time for another coffee, something like that. Let's go for a walk. Take 15, 20 minutes, get away from my desk, go downstairs. I'm lucky enough to work right in the middle of downtown. Yeah. I can walk down by the river, walk around the block, you know, walk to wherever, you know, just get out of the office, change of scenery, and get a little exercise. I'm walking for 20 minutes. Right. And I've done that almost every day for 10 years.
Wow.
So even in wintertime.
I can't say that I've done anything every day for 10 years. Because to speak to the whole motivation and fleeting thing, like I get motivated about certain things and I do it. The only thing that I tell everybody, like the only thing that I've ever stuck with my whole life has been music. It's the one thing that's been consistent, is either being creative or music. So even before music, well, I don't want to say that because I started playing music in 4th grade, violin and then trumpet and then so on and so forth. But something in between there, when I was taking a break from music before I started playing in bands and stuff, it was at least doing something, being creative, whether I was creating a website, I was creating some digital art, drawing, graffiti, like there was just lots of shit like that. So being creative, I think, is the thing I've stuck with the longest. Everything else has pretty much been a hobby, and I've gone through fucking all of them. Most of the hobbies I pick up, though, are creative hobbies, like photography,
podcasting.
You know what?
We're sticking.
I really enjoy doing this. Yeah. And my wife sees that, and that's why she makes the accommodation for me to, you know, whatever it is. Like, she's supposed to go run today, and I said, hey, look, I think it'd be better if we did the podcast at 3, which, did you hear the band playing? Fucking man, I showed up to set this shit up. Backstory, I showed up to set this shit up and ran into a couple bands that practice here, and said, hey, where do you guys practice? And they were like showing us, and it happened to be right next to our room, and the other one was like another room over. Asked them when they practiced till, they said 3. Fuck yeah. Hey, Colin, do you want to switch the podcast from 1 to 3? Maybe we won't have any background noise. Show up. I already had the shit set up. Do you see what I'm saying? I don't even know what that is.
It's like a opera, a choir.
So somebody told me there's a church upstairs. Huh. So it might be something related to that. I remember one time I showed up, and let me tell you, whatever they play up there, one of them has a Line 6 wireless because they were on my channel. Yeah.
You should have fucked with them, but like in the middle of the service, like,
just dive bombs everywhere. No, we show up and we're listening to it, and I was like, holy shit. Well, no pun intended. I'm like, holy shit, what is that? So Mark is telling me about it. I flip on all my gear, things all power up, and all of a sudden there's some fucking noise like coming out of my amp. And I'm just like, what the shit? And so I look, and I turned my wireless pack off real quick, but it was still picking up a wireless pack, which means they were on the same channel. So I switched, and I mean, that used to be why I'd switch off channel 1 right away, because every fucking buddy leaves it on channel 1, right? So I switched it to like, I don't know, channel 8 or some shit, and it stopped. So they have a wireless. So I should figure out what they have and just fucking kick on that detune pedal that we had on when you were over and just rip some shit and like drop G.
Or conversely, coming from my punk rock brain, you could use a chord like a regular guitar player. I'm too punk for wireless. And I'm not even that punk, man.
Yeah, but I told you the story how I ripped my fucking input jack out of my...
I know. I get it. I get it.
No, you don't. Also, I don't know that you fully get it, because I feel like all wireless used to mess with your sound a little bit.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. They always take a little something out, like a little low end or a little high end, something. They always take something out until this one. Like the Line 6 takes nothing out. It even has a knob on there where you can simulate, because chords technically take something out too, right? You can simulate chord length so that if you have to quickly unplug and plug in, you're plugging in a 20-foot cord, the wireless already accommodated for that, so there's no sound difference from going wireless or not. See, fucking.
Line 6, please send Jeff some free stuff.
Honestly, I just need one more belt pack. Because I have several guitars, and I just would prefer to not have to switch over belt packs, so that'd be tight.
I just need one of those combo amps that I can dial in like Pantera tone.
Oh man,
Those little Line 6 amps.
oh yeah. They actually, Line 6 entered the market with like a very high end digital modeling thing called the Helix.
Yeah, I remember.
People still fucking swear by it.
You know, here's the thing with Line 6. I feel like Line 6 is easy to hate because so many suburban white kids just buy Line 6 stuff and sound like garbage. But they were ahead of the curve with a lot, like those pods.
Oh,
I remember
yeah.
15 years ago, like being able to record decent sounding guitar parts through a box that had batteries in it.
So I actually had one. It was called a guitar port, and it came with all the Line 6 software, and it had one fucking plug and one knob that was basically like input gain, and then you got the Line 6 software, and it had everything. And I recorded all the initial demos with that. The one thing I could never get was like why my guitar sounded so thin. Just figured that shit out like 2 years ago or 3 years ago. You know what it was? Do you record like digitally? Do you record straight in at home, just demos and shit like that?
Not straight in. Yes, I go through a MIDI interface and then use onboard amps and cabs.
Yeah. So it was the whole like cab thing, impulse responses.
Oh, you were just running through a software amp and nothing else,
Bro, I was going direct in and finding some fucking plug in and playing music. And my other guitar player was like, dude, you need these things called impulse responses. And like you basically load them in a cab and it simulates like, air being pushed behind a speaker.
Right.
And I dropped them fucking things on for the first time and I was
Changes
like,
everything.
Oh my God, blew my fucking mind. Blew my mind clear out.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, when I found that stuff too. So speaking of music.
Yeah.
Went to a hardcore show last night.
I know which one it was and I really wanted to go.
And, my life last night was a case study in weird extremes for a guy in his mid 30s. So, I was just doing stuff around the house all day. And then, in the middle of the afternoon, I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to make an Indian feast for dinner. Like, not just like make some curry, but like, I'm going to like make multiple dishes. I'm going to make side dishes. I'm going to, all this stuff. And I will say that I thought it was going to take me an hour and a half, and it ended up taking me 3 hours.
Gee.
And I made some chicken korma. I made some level 5 spice chicken curry with grilled chicken. I was grilling chicken at the same time out on the grill. I made some really good rice with peas in it, and made some. Tried my hand at frying some pakoras, the little potato and cabbage fried things, and the shape was bad, but they were delicious. Anyway, hands down the best Indian food I've ever made. Like, I ate it again, like, late last night and thinking, like, wow, this, like, tastes like leftovers from, like, New India or something like that. Like, I felt really, really good about it. Just, like, doing all this kitchen stuff. And then it was like I left there and went to the basement of a Donato's Pizza on campus and watched a bunch of kids 10 years younger than me fight.
Was there fights?
No, there wasn't fights.
Oh, that's something that's actually changed.
There was close. There was a couple points where it was close. But I was telling, so it was Empire of Rats playing with Rock Bottom, so it was a couple old guy hardcore bands with a bunch of the young kids, and I was telling speaking of going to the gym, Dustin is a fucking monster.
Heisel?
Yes, he's a fucking monster. Anyway,
that's like the new thing in hardcore though.
Yeah. No, it's more power to him, man. He looks like a monster. It's awesome. But I was talking to him and Zach, and I was saying, you know what? These are guys from Empire of Rats. It's nice to not be the oldest guy at a hardcore show for once, because Zach's 40.
Oh, I know.
And I'm always the oldest guy at hardcore shows. Every time we play a hardcore show, I'm these kids are closer to my son's age than my age. It's crazy.
You should just start inviting me, and by default, you wouldn't be. But then I would have to live with that burden.
And I did not come out of Mosh retirement. So let me say that before I say this, but I did pile on and sing along to a part.
Wow.
And then turned around and just crowd killed once, just pushed the crowd way back. And I was kind of drunk. Somebody must have hit me in the chest because I'm like, because it hurts really bad.
You were in there for 38 seconds.
My chest and shoulder hurts really bad today, and I don't really know why.
Wow. Yeah, no, I actually wanted to go to that last night. But in true dad fashion, my kid fucking swan dived off the couch yesterday and busted her face.
Wow.
Yeah, dude. And it was totally on my watch. It was on my watch. You know, she like climbs up on the couch and stuff, and I've just been letting it go. Like, you
have to.
Yeah, but I was, you know, when it first started happening, I was like, whoa, you shit. And I was like right there. Now I'm just like fucking either scrolling through my phone or I'm looking for clips on YouTube or I'm doing some bullshit on the laptop. And, you know, I'm sitting on the couch and she's bopping around on the couch over here. And she's leaning over the edge of the couch. And she does this all the time. Like, the dog will be over there and she'll be like leaning over, petting the dog. Well, my wife yells as she's falling. So like what startled me was like, oh my God, my wife's yelling. So I like leap off the couch. I see she's looking that way. So I turn and everything's happening simultaneous. I fucking like Heisman like face palmed my wife out of the way apparently. Don't remember doing it. She sent her scream, and that's my wife's scream, sent my adrenaline so through the roof that I jumped up, face palmed her, got to my baby first, picked her up. And really, I was like, I don't even know what the fuck happened. Like, because when it was all happening, I was jumping up and face palming. Like, my wife saw it all go down. But she essentially fell over the side of the couch, scooped her up, didn't even know what hurt yet. So I'm trying to ask her. And, you know, communicating with a 19-month-old is not the easiest. So I'm like, where's the owie? My wife said, right here. No, I'm just kidding. So my baby's like... My baby's like grabbing her head.
Where did the floor hurt you?
Exactly.
Point on the doll where the floor hurt you.
Exactly. That's like one of Dave's favorite jokes. Like show me on the doll where he touched you, which is a terrible fucking joke. But no. So she swan dives. I pick her up. She shows me where it hurts, and I'm like, oh shit, I can already see it. Like, you know, those are the bad ones that just start changing color like 20 seconds later. So she swan dives off. I felt like a total piece of shit. I'm like, I'm not going anywhere tonight. I'm just staying here and just, you know, hugging her.
You know, that dad instinct, that weird adrenaline rush is no joke. Mm-hmm. And the reason I know it's no joke is because I am not a coordinated person. I fall up the stairs.
I've seen you fall on your security camera. You guys posted some clips, but go on.
I fall a lot. Because I'm always doing things too fast. I'm always running up and down stairs. I'm always, you know, whatever. I fall a lot. I hit stuff. I'm a klutz. But, you know, if I see 6 feet away a kid about to fall off a table.
Yeah.
Or why are kids on a table? You know, it's just
I
like.
get what you're saying.
It's just immediately like nothing gets in the way of my hand-eye coordination.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sometimes you're too late.
I didn't see it happening.
But, it is just so weird. Like, it just shuts off the rest of the way my body normally works.
Yeah. No, on several occasions she's been like going to fall, and I'll be like, you know, on the couch nearly asleep, and it's going down. I was like, I'll just throw my hand out and catch her, like however it's happening, whether she's, you know, tripping over a dog toy or the dog brushed up against her too hard when she was learning to walk. But I was just like, I'm with you. I just would get her no matter where she was at.
You said something when how you said that you went for your daughter first, got your wife out of the way.
Yeah, I think she jumped up first, but I face palmed her.
We can set that discussion of toxic masculinity aside, but I'm just gonna keep saying it.
I know you're gonna get me. There's gonna be some kind of blog about me or something. That's what's gonna happen.
But do you have things where you and your wife do not see eye to eye on like something that your kid's doing that you're okay with, that she's not okay with, but it's not because you have philosophical differences, but it's just because like she's not used to being around it? Let me give a good example, because that kind of went nowhere. The other day, you know, I'm in the basement of my house and I live in a split level, you know, so I have a window in the basement. I have the window open kids are playing out front.
Sure.
And I'm playing guitar, and I'm watching, and I'm just keeping an eye on them. I know they're fine out there. And my kid and one of my sons and his friend, they were taking this old big wheel type tricycle, and with big flat plastic wheels, and they were just in the middle of the street drifting it. They were just doing these like 180 turns, and it was fun. They were having a good time.
How are they getting the speed to drift that thing?
Just running with it and then jumping on with their feet. And then
I felt like that was important for me to know because I have a story about this. Go on.
And I'm just watching them do it, and it's fine. They play in the street all the time, and they just know, they yell car like it's in Wayne's World.
Yeah.
And
game on.
And Beatrice, or one of the kids, was yelling, like screaming like he was hurt, but they were just fucking around.
Mm-hmm.
And Sierra comes running out, and I'm standing in the basement, and I'm just listening, and she's yelling at him. She's, I now, to her credit, Beatrice was also like a block down the street, across the street, and I was not paying attention to that. Mm-hmm. So that was a problem solely on me.
Sure.
But she was like,
way to take ownership.
She comes down into the window, and because she knows I'm down there playing guitar, and she's like, B's down the street, Miles is in the middle of the street. And I'm like, okay, I didn't know B was down the street. Sorry. I'm sorry about that. That's my fault. Oversight. But like, is this the first time you've seen Miles in the middle of the street? Because like, he literally, I've tried to get him to not play in the middle of the street, and that's just what these guys do. Mm-hmm. They just play in the middle of the street. So like, I'm totally fine with it. But as soon as she saw it, it was like the end of the world. And I was like, is there anything like that where like your wife's just not used to being around something that would stress her out, that doesn't stress you out?
So we've had conversations about this. I don't know what sides of the fence you fall on as far as like spanking goes, but I'm one of those people that have always believed, like, personally, I don't think there's anything wrong with like the light spanking. Like there's a fucking fine line you can cross between spanking and like being too abrasive with your kids.
Oh yeah.
And I think that always it should be by respect first.
Yep.
But there's a certain age at the beginning of life where I feel like they haven't quite developed the ability to understand that. And like, I've always been one that's just like, I've never seen anything wrong with spanking your kids. I also wasn't there at the beginning of Hayden's life. That wasn't, I'm a stepfather, right? So I came into his life at a certain point, which it was like, he would have been old enough to already understand that. So we got on the conversation the other day. Like we've never spanked either kid, but like fundamentally, I'm okay with certain aspects of it. And she makes me question that, because then she's like a hard no on that. And I'm like, okay, I get that. I feel like there's no right answer for me, because I feel like, some of the character attributes that Hayden has is because he's always been treated a certain way, and he always like lives by like the respect thing, and he's so determined to not disappoint people that he's developed perfectionist tendencies. And this is weird, I know I'm going like real deep on it, but like I feel like what happened was there was such an emphasis on respect and not disappointing growing up that actually led to him having some slight like perfectionist tendencies.
Sure.
And I'm like, I wonder if a lot of these kids that are okay with fucking up or falling down and getting right back up, it's because they had a slightly different method of parenting. So it's actually like that piece of it. I think at this point we've agreed like there's no spanking our kids, like, because that's one of those things where like if one person's kind of okay with it and one person's a hard no, you just got to go with the hard no.
Yeah,
it's just what it is.
Because it's just a recipe for
fucking disaster.
Yeah.
Like it will not only cause issues with your parenting, right, but it'll cause issues between you. And I'm not trying to have those problems.
Yeah, I think, when it comes to the spanking thing, I like that you brought it up, because I feel like this is a subject that is so, like every subject in 2019, you have to believe a certain way or the other way. Mm-hmm. Everything is black and white now.
Right.
Everything. And it drives me fucking bonkers.
It drives me crazy too.
And because I in principle, why would I want to hit my kids?
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it's you can call it spanking, but you're hitting your child.
Right.
That you have seemingly infinite more power over, especially if they're like 2. You know what I mean? That being said, I've spanked my kids, and I understand that you see results from it.
Right.
And but like you said, it is very easy to cross the line into I'm spanking you because I'm mad.
Oh,
and
yeah.
this should never be I'm spanking you because I'm mad. And I've spanked my kids because I was mad. And it's different. And you feel gross afterwards. And, but, you know, I also, I grew up in a house like that where it wasn't like you didn't just get spanked because your parents wanted to beat the shit out of you. It was, if you got spanked, it was a serious thing.
Or like you were actually doing something.
And we would, you know, just the way I grew up in our house, and I had little sisters that I was taking care of too. And, you know, if they were touching something, you'd smack their hand.
Yeah.
So we did that. And I did that I've done that with all three of my kids, at least a little bit. But even that feels a little gross to me. But again, I think it's one of those things where it's what works for you, but within reason. I totally understand and agree with why people don't spank their kids.
Yeah.
I do think that there is a time and place for it.
Yeah, and we've been out before, and we've seen...
Anybody who has a problem with that can DM me, and I'll talk about it.
There you go.
Fight me.
Fight me. No, we've been out before, and I distinctly remember one time in particular when we were living out west. We went to Kroger, and there was a woman who was she was having trouble controlling her kids. And I don't know the backstory. Her kids could be complete assholes. Like, they might not have any type of discipline typically, but and there's also that too, people that have no fucking discipline, and then you expect your kids to be disciplined when you go out. It's like, no, you got to do that shit at home. Like, that shit is bred from birth. But anyway, so we're at Kroger, and you know, she's screaming at her kids and shit. Dude, my wife was like, I mean, a second from fighting this lady. And I'm like, you can't go fight the lady because you're mad that she's yelling at and potentially smacking her kids. Like, you want to go fight her now. You know, it's kind of the same thing, right? So she didn't do it, but I could tell, like, she was really upset about that for quite some time.
Yeah. That sucks, seeing that happen in public.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, it's like, how many times does my wife tell me, the windows are open, can you please stop screaming at the children? You know what I mean?
You mean from inside the house?
Yeah. You know, like, it's funny. It's so easy to get mad at people, like, doing that shit in the grocery store, but it's like, how many people have been walking their dogs and heard me just going at it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I agree. That shit's wild. I'm gonna take us off this serious topic for a minute because I need to know something. So I tried to talk about this band on, like, I don't know, episode 2 or 3, and I said I would send them to you, and I wanted to report back. And it's that band. I actually looked them up, got their name. I still don't know if I'm fucking saying the name right, but Vamachara?
Vamachara, that's how I would say it.
Yeah, but I was like, sometimes when bands have weird names like that, they might expect you to pronounce it weird, like Vamachara. You know what I'm saying? There could be a fucking weird pronunciation.
I'm in a band called Maranatha. Believe me, I know.
You know, how you just said it, I don't even say it that way.
Maranatha,
No.
Maranatha, Marinara. I mean...
Maranatha, I think, is how I've said it most
Which
commonly.
is fine. A lot of people say that. There has been times, though, where I've discussed with the band that we should change our name to Marantha because that's what most people say.
So I sent it to you. Did you have a chance to listen to it?
I did. I listened to a couple songs, and yeah, I mean...
Fucking ass beaters.
Heavy ass beaters.
I love it.
It's not, you know... I'll sound like old man Simula here, but, you know, 10 years ago, I would have been all about it. And don't get me wrong, I am all about it because sometimes you just got to listen to some mosh music.
Yep.
But,
dude,
yeah, fuck yeah, dude, that shit was hard as nails.
My steering wheel has seen more China hits than my China that I
There's
own.
one little dent in your steering wheel from going like
I'm
this.
telling you, like, I know exactly where all the symbols are on my steering wheel. One day I should just hook up triggers to my steering wheel and show people that I have designated spots on the steering wheel and the horn. I have designated spots of where everything is. And I air drum. I guess, is it even considered air drumming? Because I'm actually hitting something. Wheel drum?
Steering wheel drumming?
You almost said steel drum.
No, you know what I was trying to say.
I know, but...
Ding, 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 ding,
Under
ding.
the sea. That's where that is.
That's interesting because I wonder what everybody's idiosyncrasies are that they do behind the wheel. Everybody air plays instruments. People who are into music, people who are into music
Yeah.
You can't not airplay instruments while you're listening to it. But an interesting thing is the idea of, sometimes as a musician, I will make, my own music. I'll use turn signal as a metronome.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'll like write some beats and I'll switch between 4/4 and 6/8 with the same turn signal,
Oh,
and another thing, like in my Jeep, my radio got ripped, so I don't have a stereo in there right now. There's just a big hole in the dashboard. And
I have one you can have.
yeah, my friend's got one too. I kind of like not having it though, to be honest with you. I kind of like just me and the Jeep. That sounded so... It's a Jeep thing. You wouldn't understand.
Yeah.
Anyway, I have a hard top on the Jeep, and it's just like thin plastic. But it's... I didn't... Jesus! We don't even have these things mounted to anything. They're on their own mic stands that aren't touching anything that I'm touching, and I still punched the goddamn microphone.
I'm going to go through and find all the times you've done that, and I'm going to make one fucking clip of nothing but you hitting the mic stand and hitting things.
This is what I'm talking about when I have no hand-eye coordination or any spatial awareness.
I noticed earlier you actually hit the chord a couple times, and I could kind of hear it. And I smiled when it happened. I didn't know if you caught me smiling, but I smiled. I'm going to go through. I'm going to find all those. I don't know when I'm going to do that or when I'm going to have time to do that. But
anyway, I'm in a Jeep, so I have this hard top that's thin plastic and rounded and loose. It has no structural integrity by any means. And it's big flat metal doors. And I'll be sitting at a light, and I'll have one hand out the door, and I will literally be like...
Oh, yeah.
And like just pound on the plastic roof of my Jeep. It's just weird, the shit people do with music behind the steering wheel.
So, 2 jobs ago, and I don't know if I'm supposed to call them jobs or positions because it's the same company. 2 ago, the desk that I had, we work in a big fucking building, and a lot of the wiring is under the floor, and the floor is... I don't know what you call that, but like you could pull up panels and like there's wires running into the floor and shit.
Yeah.
Well, where I sat, there was some big ass cord coming out the bottom, but the panel right under my desk, there was one spot where I could hit it, and it was like dum 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 dum. So people would get so fucking mad at me because I would use that like a kick drum, and then I would use pencils, and I would use my desk and my space bar, and I'd be like dum. And I'd have like whole fucking beats going, and on several occasions, like I would get like a grind beat going, where you're like, just doing that. And I sent it to Mark one time, and he's like, "Don't people get mad that you're just constantly drumming?" And I'm like, I can't hear them over the guitar riffs in my head, and that was like always my excuse because I'd be like listening to fucking music, or I'd just be thinking about guitar riffs, and I'd start tapping all hard, and people would like, "Hey, could you fucking not?"
Does Amy do that?
No, but
Sierra fucking does.
She taps? Or wait, yells at you?
She cannot stand it.
You're tapping?
Oh my God. She hates it.
I've been in this new house going on 2 years and haven't set up my drums. Because when I had the drums set up at the old house, even though Amy would tell me, "Yeah, sure, you can go play." Oh, man, she did not like it. Because the first thing I fucking try and do is play a grind beat, and I'm not a drummer. So it was just failed attempt after
You need to say blast beat. People are going to be so pissed at you for saying grind beat.
No, blast beat is on. Grind beat is back and forth.
Oh, well.
I mean a grind beat.
2 different kinds of blast beats.
No. Okay, we have the blast beat authority in our band. And I've asked several times. If he's wrong, fuck it. I will blame it all on him.
Yeah, fuck Mark Evans.
Fuck Mark Evans.
He can fight me on that if he disagrees with me. He can slide in my DMs and we can fight about it.
Yee. Sexy.
No, like, God bless Sierra because she puts up with a lot of me making a lot of racket in the house. She knows that it's just what I love to do. But man, if we're in the car and we're listening to music or not listening to music, either one, and I'm making beats, on the steering wheel, on the dashboard, whatever. Oh my God. It's gotten to the point where she doesn't even like say anything about it anymore. She'll just like lightly touch my leg. And I know that she just is saying, "Shut the fuck up." I hate it so much.
It's hilarious. No, Amy definitely doesn't like when I would be fucking playing drums. So she would constantly try and shut that shit down. Speaking of my wife, and I wonder if you have anybody in your household that's like this. She is the absolute pickiest eater on the fucking planet. So first of all, before I even tell the story that made me say that, do you have anyone in your household that's a super picky eater?
All of them.
Really? So, but they eat Indian food, or was that just some shit you did for you?
That was for me and Sierra.
Self-love.
And for another friend. But, you know, I try to get the kids to eat stuff. And, you know, it really comes down to, like, Beatrice will eat grilled cheese sandwiches now. And that's basically it. Miles said that he doesn't like meat. But, like, he will always eat a burger from McDonald's.
Okay.
Ro, the oldest one, he's getting a little bit more adventurous. He's not super picky. Miles, the middle one, he also eats a lot of veggies. Any veggies I give him, he loves. But you know, the kids' pickiness, it's whatever. It's I know kids are like that, and it drives me crazy. But you know, I make stuff for dinner, and if you don't like it, you're hungry. Simple as that.
I've been way too accommodating for that for a long time, where my wife is vegetarian. I'm like borderline meatitarian. Like, I eat lots of meat. I love meat. But I switched it up to eat a lot more vegetarian dishes because it got to the point where I was making like one thing for Hayden to make sure he was happy. I was making one thing for Amy, make sure she was happy, and then I was making myself food. And that's a lot of fucking food making, you know, even if it's like 30 minutes a piece, it's like I just spent an hour and a half making food.
You know, I do accommodate within reason. Like, I'm not making different meals for people.
Yeah.
But
well, that's what we've been doing is we'll make a dish where the meat can be added.
Exactly.
Yeah. So my wife's like all about fucking sides.
I do the same thing. And I'll make something like, you know, like a stir fry or something like that. And I'll just give Miles the rice with the veggies. You know what I mean? But no, my biggest picky eater issue is my wife.
Yeah. See?
And it's because she does not eat onions.
That's the fucking deal breaker? Onions?
Yeah.
Like what? Are you just like eating onions in every dish?
I feel like if you look at any cuisine in the entire world, onions are one of the most important ingredients.
What?
Across the board.
Give me a fucking example. I'm struggling.
Curry sauce starts with a whole onion. Like, that's what's the base for curry. You know.
And I know you're a big fan of tacos.
Onions are a big thing in Mexican food. Onions are a huge.
Which is crazy. My wife don't like onions either, but she's half Mexican.
Onions are huge in Asian food. I mean, it is just, and you know, figure this out. My wife hates onions, but she'll eat onion rings. Figure that out. So last night I'm making these pakoras, which are, you know, deep fried balls of sliced onions, potatoes, and cabbage. And I was like, oh, she'll eat these because they don't taste like onion, and she likes onion rings.
Yeah.
I didn't know she took a bite or not yet when she ate it, but from the other room I heard her go, "What's in these things?" And I was like, just try it. Which is code for there's onions in it.
Yeah, there's something in there you don't like, but I'm not going to tell you.
And she's like, "Oh, I already tried it. This is full of onions, isn't it?" You know, like she can sniff them out like it's a fucking needle in a haystack. She's just like, "Oh, there's an onion."
Yeah.
It's like, wait, what? And so, and I love onions. That's the thing. That's the problem is like.
Do you like grilled onions or fresh onions though?
I do not discriminate.
Really?
Yeah.
They're different. I don't really fuck with grilled onions. They're like weird slimy little things.
Oh, I love it.
I will fuck with fresh onions though. And onion rings. Oh, man.
It's weird. You say onion like my mom says it. Like there's a G in the middle of it. Onion. My mom says it that way too.
Yeah, I do say that. I wonder what the fuck that's from.
I don't know.
Must be where I was brought up. My mom puts R's and shit like Warsh.
Yeah.
She says shit like that.
Like Southern shit.
Yeah. You know
Toilet.
Toilet. That's another one. You know the one that fucking. I'm gonna go back to this picky eater thing, but before I do,
I'm sorry. You
derailed the shit out of us. I'm gonna go back to the picky eater thing, but then we'll get into trivial things that bother us because mine is. I'm gonna use one that's along those lines today, but picky eater. So there are times, and this is no bullshit, like there are times where we want to order food, want to order out, right? And then my wife will give me her order and I'll look at it.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, I can't even place that order online. Like I have to go in and I have to start the order by apologizing to the people. I start it like, look, I'm sorry. My wife's very picky. This order is gonna be fucking crazy. I'm hoping to get some like sympathy from the people, and she does this shit everywhere. Like it's always like, oh, I want this. I'm like, fuck yeah, I can get that. I write it down. She's like, but instead of this, can you add this? I'm like, sure. She's like, and see if they have these, and take out this and add this. And I'm like, all right.
Why don't
I'm like,
start your own restaurant?
it's not even that. I start looking at it and like I have to make a choice. Like, do I want to just fucking start with tell them I want this base and then add some shit, or I'd like this with this only, or do I tell them I want this dish that she told me she wants and then take all the shit out and subtract? It's like she has to tell me what she wants, and then I need a second with the fucking calculations going around my head to see like what's the most efficient way to order this. But 9 out of 10 times I can't order it online. I have to go in and like apologize.
You know, it's like as part of the routine, if I'm going anywhere like a fast food joint to get food for the family, Wendy's, McDonald's, Burger King, Taco Bell,
And you
Raising
know
Cane's,
what
whatever.
everyone eats at this point.
You know that whole thing. Like you've got the whole thing down, but you got to work. Part of your trip is pulling over as soon as you go past the second window, opening everything up, making sure everything's right, so you don't get home and have one of your kids refuse to eat for life because they didn't put ketchup on their goddamn burger.
See, there's a number of things like that though that I've grown to just be. I don't even fucking check. That's where I'm going with this. I don't check. I just fucking pull off, and it's like,
And you're like, too fucking bad.
Yeah, I will sacrifice whatever I have. I'll sacrifice something. There are countless times where I've pulled away from Cane's, and our Cane's order is not intricate, but I order it in a way where like I order a very large meal here, knowing that
It's like,
this.
can you even be intricate at Cane's?
Yeah, you can. I'm gonna tell you why. So I'll order like a large meal here because I'm like, okay, this comes with fucking 5 chicken tenders or 6 chicken tenders. It comes with fries. It comes with a drink. Hayden wants a drink. Amy wants fries. Like I order it in the most efficient way possible. That when I get home, it's like 2 Cane's meals that feeds 3 people.
So so it's not intricate special orders. It's you doing a crazy math equation
Most.
to make sure that you're getting the maximum amount of food for as little money as possible.
That's only at Cane's, and I say that because just fucking had Cane's. Just had Cane's. Literally.
Cinco de Mayo, dude. Why aren't you eating Mexican food?
Her maiden name is Tamayo, and we always call it Cinco de Mayo.
Oh, so it's like a
Pun.
special day for her.
I mean, I said she's half Mexican. It should be a special day regardless, but yeah, fucking also is her name. No, so I'm going to jump to trivial things, right? Oh my God. I had the trivial thing queued up in my head. God damn it. Why do we do this every time? Every fucking time there's something and there's like a trivial thing and oh, I thought of it. So we were talking about my mom adding in random fucking letters to things. For the longest time, I don't know why it makes my blood boil when people say, I'm going to Kroger's.
Oh my God.
I'm like, get the fucking S off of there. Unless you're going to more than one Kroger, knock it off. And then I'm like, do you get you probably say Myers too. They're like, I do. I'm like, oh.
See,
But they never say Targets. I'm like, you going to Targets? They're like, no. I'm like, aha. There's the fucking one.
Oh man, that drives me.
It gets you too?
Bonkers. I grew up in Grand Rapids, Michigan, is where Myers based. So that's what everybody said, Myers up there. And it's like, it's based here, you moron.
It's a family name. Like people use that excuse on me all the time. It's a family name and I'm showing ownership. It's Myers store. I'm like,
no.
Fuck you.
No. It's the people who say Kroger's are the same people who say Chipotle.
Oh, I worked with a guy who never could pronounce that correctly.
It's not hard.
He keeps saying Chipotle. And he, just regular ass dude, regular guy, but always would say Chipotle. And it started with he'd be like, yeah, they have a nice Chipotle sauce. And I was like, what the fuck did he just say, Chipotle? And so I let it go, and I'm like, fuck it. People pronounce shit weird. But when he started calling it Chipotle, like the store, that was it. I wrote him off. He's not my friend anymore.
I've heard people say Barnes and Nobles.
That's another one.
Only one of those words ends in S.
God damn it.
No, it's the worst. Kroger's.
I'm
Ugh.
glad that you and I see eye to eye on this. You got any?
You don't go to Walmart's.
That's another
You
example.
don't go to Giant Eagles.
Do you find it funny that Giant Eagle is like large bird, right? And then it took over Big Bear.
Beatrice and I are at the store, and she was like, "Why did they even call this store Giant Eagle?" And I was like, "I don't know. Maybe to be more American. I don't know." And I was like, "It used to be called Big Bear." And she goes, she just stops, and I was like, "I think I just broke your brain." Like,
Yeah.
Like it didn't compute to her because it made no sense. There's no logic. There's nothing. It's just two animals,
Large
and
animal.
and then like a descriptor for large.
So I have my back tattooed, and it's like, I don't know, 60-70% of my back, but it is an eagle. It is a giant eagle.
You best be getting that logo back there.
Man, no, that's the fucked up thing is people would say, "Oh, what's the tattoo on your back?" And I'd be like, "It's a giant it's a large eagle." Like I'd have to fucking catch myself. It used to piss me off all the time that I had to make a conscious effort to not say giant eagle. I have another story about my back.
Go.
You ready for this fucking shit?
It better be as good as you're hyping.
Dude. Okay. So it's a very traditional.
Take the fucking chair.
You did. You're fucking making noise all over the place.
How did that affect the microphone?
I think it's just coming through the mic. That one didn't actually affect the mic. So I got my back tattooed. Like I said, it's large. It's a very traditional tattoo. It's extremely traditional. It's literally black, red, and gold. That's it, right? Super simple. It's got a Latin phrase. I'm not even gonna act like I can pronounce like perfectly the Latin phrase, but it basically means order out of chaos. And like the out of part is essentially ob. Right? So my brother, who was out of jail for, I don't know, a couple years at this point, he sees my tattoo and he goes, "Hey man, are you joining the Aryan Brotherhood?" And I fucking stop and I'm like, "What the fuck?" I'm like, "Why?" Because I shaved my head. Because I didn't understand at the time. I was like, "What the fuck?" Because I shaved my head. I'm like, "That's a really weird general thing." I'm like, "No, I'm not really growing hair too well on the top, and so I shaved my head." He's like, "No, you got the eagle on your back, and it says AB right in the middle." And dude, I fucking went straight to my phone. I look up a picture of what he's talking about, because again, fairly fresh out of prison. And then I look at my tattoo again, and I was just like, I can actually see how he made that connection. Because how the Latin phrase is, it's like partially on a banner here and on a banner here, and the AB is like dead center, and he's thinking AB, Aryan Brotherhood. He's thinking eagle, the fucking, whatever that thing's called, Iron Eagle, or whatever the fuck that thing is called. And then I shave my head, and I'm like, holy shit. Like, it makes me self-conscious. I won't lie. On several occasions, I've talked to people like, so that center part, I just want to put some stars over that and completely black that AB out because I do not want those associations.
Huh. Yeah, it's weird, man. Yesterday, that's crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of
now
shit
you
there.
feel like you have a giant tattoo on your back that you don't want to show.
But I want to show it, but I fucking have to tell that 10-minute story every time.
Yesterday, I was dropping my son off at a friend's house, and his dad, who I go way back with, I was wearing that Terror hoodie.
The one from episode 1?
Yeah.
Your buddy got at Ragorama.
Yeah, and it's red and black, and there's an eagle and all that stuff. And he's like, "That's a sweet hoodie, man." He didn't know who the band was, but he was like, "That's a sweet hoodie, man." And he's like, very Third Reich, and I'm like, that's not the first association I want somebody to make with the thing I'm wearing.
Yeah, and just in general, that like crew cut haircut is commonly associated. So you got 2 strikes on you.
Yeah, I've heard this haircut described as the fashy.
I've heard it described as the Hitler Youth haircut.
Fuck it. It's one of America's most classic haircuts.
At least
Fuck
you don't have a fucking AB dead center of your eagle back. Your giant eagle.
Yeah.
No, I went to what the fuck is that place called? There's like an outdoor water park. White Sands maybe? Is that a thing? Anyway, there's this fucking outdoor water park that I went to one time. And we're splashing around and shit because I'm not really the biggest fan of water to begin with, but I'm splashing around. I look over and this guy's got a full-on portrait of Hitler right here, and I was like, man, this shit makes me so uncomfortable.
The fucking tattoos that you see at water parks are crazy.
Yeah.
The amount of scary, downright evil, or awful racist shit that people have tattooed on them is outrageous.
And the gutsiness to just fly that shit.
It's Trump's America, dog.
And honestly, this was well before Trump. This was a long time ago. I'd say it's at least 6 or 7 years ago. But yeah, that shit is wild.
I feel like it's my duty as a good lib to throw that in there, though.
A good lib. I like it. So we are approaching the hour and 20.
He's like, oh, he went political. Let's end this
No,
shit.
no, not at all. I'm not so sure that you really gave us a trivial thing that bothered you. Just kind of tacked onto mine. Like, don't you hijack?
I totally agree with that one. Like, totally agree with that one. Okay, here's a trivial thing I hate. And even thinking about it before I say it out loud, I'm just like, wow.
You're like, man, this is real trivial.
It's really fucking trivial. I hate. Okay, so my title is director of user experience design.
Okay.
So it's a good title.
It's nice.
It's a
director titles are awesome.
It's a title that gets me a lot of spam email.
Okay.
From LinkedIn. From people who search for me on LinkedIn because they see user experience designer, see director. This is the guy who's making decisions. I'm gonna try and sell them shit. So I get a lot of fucking emails, and I just clicked unsubscribe. Mm-hmm. And the trivial thing I hate is I unsubscribe from your mailing list, and I get a email that says thank you for unsubscribing. Makes me want to throw my computer through the fucking window. It is such a middle finger to the decision I'm making out of my own autonomy. I do not want to read your emails anymore, so don't send me another one saying thanks for not wanting to read my emails anymore.
I can definitely see that, but
that is so trivial.
But at the same time, I've been burnt by that so many times where I will go unsubscribe and I fucking still get them. That it's almost nice of them, and this is just from my perspective, it's almost nice of them to send something that says I did that, so if you do it again, I'm fucking attaching that one. I've gotten to the point where, like, I will... my phone records calls for any call that's not a contact in my phone. Shout out to fucking Android phones for shit like that. So my phone records anything that's a number that's not in my phone as a contact. And when I get spam calls and I select, 0 to unsubscribe from this list, and, like, as of recently, it's been a whole bunch of, we can get you an Aetna life insurance plan and blah, blah, and shit like that, right? Or healthcare or whatever. So it's gotten to the point where what I do now is, because my phone records calls, I actually push the button to talk to the operator, and I say, put me on your do not call list, do not call me again. Because apparently that's what you actually have to say, put me on your do not call list, or they can fucking keep calling you. So I do that, and I save that call. I am just waiting for the day that one of those motherfuckers calls me back and I have that recording, because I can get so much money. I learned that from my old neighbor, the same neighbor that got money for AEP cutting down his tree, which I think I told you that, right?
You did.
Yeah. I learned that from my old neighbor. And then I further learned it from work, the whole Telephone Consumer Protection Act, TCPA. Did some research into that, and I'm like, you're telling me I can get $10,000 for each one of these? Oh, I'm fucking recording all these. Like, just go ahead. I dare you to call me back.
Hustling.
Like, every day. Every day I'm hustling.
I took a management seminar a couple months ago through this company called SkillPath that does these things. Mm. And my God, I get 2 printed pieces mailed to me at work a week, to the point where our front desk lady, I just made her sound really old.
Yeah, you said front desk lady.
Our team assistant, she will walk up to my desk and she'll be like, you got another one of these, and she'll just put it right in the trash can.
Very nice. Just enough to let you know that you got it, but also doing you a solid.
Yeah.
Speaking of just doing solids, like, I did a good deed the other day, and like nobody will know this, so I'm gonna put it on here just so someone knows. On the road, you actually pass this. So when you come down the road towards my house and you're passing that barn, there's like this little road over here. I mean, the fucking entire road got to be like 100 yards, but it's just over on the right. And somebody must have run that stop sign over a long time ago. And periodically they just set the stop sign back up. Like I don't know if there's a hole there or like what the fuck it is, but they will prop that thing up and it's always like leaning all ass crazy. So more than one occasion I've come down that road and the fucking stop sign's like laying in the middle of the road. And stop sign, flat. The bar that it's attached to, maybe 2 inches high. So when you're coming up on it, you're kind of like, I can run that over, whatever that is, not knowing that it's fucking metal. So I've grown accustomed to coming up on it and slowing down. I'm like, shit, that's the stop sign again. Throw on my hazards, go, take it, throw it off the side. The other day I was like, why do I keep throwing that stop sign off the side of the road? I am going to figure out, I'm choking right now. I'm going to figure out who I call to get that shit fixed. So I ended up finding the number and I found it on a message board, yada, yada, Googled some shit. And then I called our local version of that and said, hi, I am trying to figure out who the hell I would call to report a downed stop sign. And she goes, that's me. And I said, okay. Now here's the tricky thing.
Someone called me for once.
That's what I'm saying. So I live right on a line where it's not even a joke. Like the left side of the street is one county and my side of the street's another county. So I was like, I'm not sure you're the one. And like, I'm giving her my address and she's like, well, you're serviced by me, but I think this road is not. I had to pull up Google Maps and like basically find it. I pulled over in a parking lot because I was driving, pulled over, I dropped a pin, and then essentially I was like giving her coordinates. And she's like, oh, I see exactly what you're talking about. She was like, yeah, that is me. So my good deed was I called about this downed stop sign. And they came out and fixed it same day. Fucking
Crazy.
sign is up. I haven't almost run it over since. A bit selfish, and honestly, this place doesn't even need a stop sign. Like the road is so small, like nobody's just like barreling out into the middle of the road. But you know, I feel like I saved somebody's tire or something. I saved maybe a motorcyclist.
I definitely would not have done that. So
I can't tell you how many times I didn't do it. Like at least a year's worth of that fucking thing blowing out there, and I was just like, fuck that thing. I just throw it on the side of the road, and somebody's good Samaritan ass would just set it back up. But I think we've covered all the shit we need to cover, man. I was super happy to have guests last week. Yeah. It was fun as fuck. It was complete chaos. Learned a lot of lessons, and we got some.
Always use headphones.
Always use headphones. Number one. Number two, pop filters. You see, I got some new ones for us. They're nice and small. Always use pop filters. We had a lot of plosives on that call.
Number three.
Call? It's a fucking podcast, not call. Jesus, that's the corporate life.
Yep. I got a call.
Conference calls.
3, don't go to dinner first. I feel like we had a lot of really hilarious conversation at dinner that would have been great for the podcast.
I agree. I hope that you've been thinking about other guests we could have on. We actually have, I have 2 more guests coming. I don't even think that we've talked about this, so I'll just announce it here / to you. On one of the upcoming episodes, we'll have Jordan Slack, who local guitarist and been playing music for a long time. He actually practices in this room right here. He's recently found a love for stand-up comedy.
Wow.
Yeah, fucking awesome. And he's got his first, like paying stand-up gig later this month. And so I want to have him on and just kind of talk to him, pick his brain. It's been a bucket list of mine for years.
To do stand-up?
To do any stand-up.
Me
and
too.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, this is awesome. We need to figure this out when we can do it and do it same time. Because apparently I talked to him about it. He said open mic night, you get like somewhere between like 3 and 5 minutes. It's like really short, like 2 or 3 or something minutes. And he's gone up and done that several times. And out of that came his first paying gig. And even then it's like 10 minutes. So I am so fucking excited. We're actually canceling band practice one day. So as a band, we can go hang out, support him. So I want to have him on the show and just honestly, selfishly talk to him about fucking stand up and how you and I can do that. And then also Clint Davidson. So we talked about him on the first episode. He made the Seventh Son logo. He also recently worked with the Brew Kettle, which is another Ohio beer, on helping rebrand some of their beers, their standard logo, as well as one of their new releases called Major Lager. I don't know if you've seen this. you should have fucking seen this because I posted about it from the Heckin Cool Dads Instagram. But it's a play on Major League.
Oh, I did see that.
Yeah, so he did that. He wants to come up, so we're gonna get him up here soon too. And I think it's only appropriate that we drink Major Lager on that day. So I'm glad that you brought these founders today. So I know you're a fan of lager and not just IPAs. So we'll do that. And then Dave and Ben from the last episode, that was too fucking good. Like there were some really classic stories that came out of there. I love the pickled grape story. Like, did you have like what's your favorite line from that whole fucking episode? I don't know if you've had a chance to listen to any of it.
It's the art world shit.
Was it?
That shit was so funny.
That was fucking funny. Mine is Ben said, "Have you heard about raisins?" Like when Dave was talking about pickled grapes and thinking olives were pickled grapes, when like his genuine concern that Dave did not know that raisins were also grapes. He's like, "You thought all three of those were the same thing?" So that was my favorite line from that one. So we're going to have Dave or Ben and Dave. We're going to have them again. They got to come up again. Hopefully that'll be later this year. There's some conventions coming up, I think, without us needing to go to fucking Wisconsin, which neither one of us have time to do. It would be great to do that when he's in town again. So we're going to do that. Start thinking of other people you want to see as guests. And for you guys, we would love to hear who you'd like to have as guests because we're constantly interested in talking to people. No, they don't have to be dads. Again, the dads thing is us. Everybody else can be what the fuck ever. We'll have some heckin' cool moms up there too. Well, I don't care about anything. We need to do this. All right.
Wait, before you go.
Uh-oh.
I wanted this. You were talking about stand up, and I want to show you this picture. I'll send it to you so you can put it up on the.
Okay.
I was cleaning out my closet today, going through what am I gonna sell, what am I gonna.
It reminds me of
donate.
Eminem. I'm sorry, Mom.
Oh. I thought you were talking about mom's spaghetti.
Upsetty.
Anyway, I found this. I have a vintage George Carlin shirt.
Okay.
It's awesome.
Sounds awesome.
It's an awesome vintage shirt.
Is it vintage enough to where it doesn't fit you anymore?
Yeah, and I got a picture of it.
A picture of you in it?
And me in it. I brought it downstairs, and I was like, Sierra, I used to wear this shirt within the time that we've been together.
Holy shit. Holy shit.
We'll put that up.
Oh, yeah.
On the
I'll
YouTube.
put that in the video. Actually, I might put that on the Instagram, too, to be honest.
My God. And you were watching Dumb and Dumber in the background.
I have had several conversations about Dumb and
My
Dumber.
kids saw Dumb and Dumber for the first time today.
There are so many good lines in that one.
Oh, my God.
We'll go into that another time. Real quick, because I don't want to leave without talking about this, only because you said something that reminded me of Eminem. Did you listen to the Eminem and Logic song, Homicide?
Yeah.
I gotta be honest, that's the first time I've ever liked a Logic song.
Same.
Man, that's at least...
Especially after that Red Hot Chili Peppers garbage he put out a couple months ago.
That's at least 2 times in this episode alone that we have fucking completely synced up. I wonder if that's because we're spending more time together. Because this is honestly, like, since the podcast started, This is the most time we've ever spent together.
Yeah. Eminem's verse is on point.
Unfucking believable.
Logic, dude.
He came for the neck on that one.
Just rap like that all the time.
Yeah, just
get
do
out
that.
of here with all the other bullshit. Just rap. I mean, I don't know if you listen to JID, but a lot of it feels like he's ripping JID a little bit. But yeah, no, that song was rock solid.
Yeah, so my problem with Logic was he got a lot of popularity off that Suicide song, right? But that song was the entire thing was a direct ripoff of Joyner Lucas and the song that Joyner Lucas did. It felt like, and Joyner's was so much fucking better that I felt like I wish that he got that publicity. Well, fast forward, so Joyner also just released a new track. I think it's called Devil's Work.
Yeah, I haven't listened to that one yet.
It's really, really fucking good, but I can't help think that it reminds me of Ill Mind of Hobson 7, where Hobson's talking to God and basically all pissed off, because he found religion for like a hot second and was all about it, and then he kind of like pulled away from it, and everybody hated him for it. But it reminds me, it's definitely a nod to that Ill Mind of Hobson 7. But it's really good. I mean, Joyner can fucking do no wrong. I actually like the fact that he will sometimes even make the concept for the video, and he directs his own videos. He'll make the concept for the video before he makes the song, and then he'll like write around a story he wants to tell. So super into that. But I'm not gonna hold us up with a bunch of fucking talk.
Yeah, it was a nice little little epilogue.
Yeah, just dump some facts at the end real quick. So, Heckin Cool Dads Podcast, number 5 in the fucking books. We're on a weekly cadence. Peace.